So, hi, I'm Joe from the Orland Park Public Library, and this is cloud storage right for me. What we're going to be talking about today is the many mediums of cloud storage, different types, pricing, and what's the right thing to do as far as this. So, all right. First of all, what is cloud storage? The cloud refers to groups of remote computers connected to the internet. You're usually provided a certain amount of free space to store and sync your files. If you go over that amount, you could buy more. The cloud gives you access to larger amounts of storage than your device may hold. So what that means is the cloud-based storage itself is pretty much a backup just in case, or kind of in an emergency of not saving your files locally on your main hard drive or solid state. And then this way, digitally, you can have a backup of that file or video or anything like that to a cloud-based server. So then you don't have to worry about it getting deleted or anything like that. So then this way, all your files are saved and you don't have to worry about anything getting deleted. So then this way too, you can actually access your files from your smartphone or any other device that you can log into that account from any other device. What services are there? There is Google Drive, which is managed and operated by Google, Amazon Drive with Amazon, OneDrive by Microsoft, Dropbox, which actually partners with Microsoft, iCloud, which is monitored by Apple, and many others. So the other ones beside these ones listed right now are basically like Mega. There's another one for the group right here, and then there's some other ones at the top of my, I can't think of the top of my head, but that's another one that's not listed here. That's pretty big. First, we'll talk about Dropbox. Dropbox was introduced in 2008. You get 2 gigs free for initial sign up, and then you can add friends to expand up to 16 gigs. And then is 2 terabytes for $99.99 a month, and then 3 terabytes for $16.58 a month. And then there's Amazon Drive, which launched in 2011. And then to get that, you actually have to have an Amazon Prime membership to use that, and then it allows you to have unlimited photo storage and 5 gigs of videos and files you get to have saved. And then there's 100 gigs. Photos don't count if you have Prime, actually. And then it's $20 a month, not month, a year. And then 1 terabyte, which also photos don't count, which is for $60 a year. Now we're talking about Google Drive. When it says right here at the beginning, it says becoming Google One, they're pretty much the same thing. They're kind of merging the names to Google OneDrive now instead of just Google Drive, which that was introduced in 2012 for Google Drive anyway. And then that's 15 gigs free with Google account, which is free to sign up anyway. And that includes Gmail, Drive, Photos, YouTube, and stuff like that. So then you can back up your own local stuff to that, even with emails too. And then that's 200 gigs for $30 per year, and then 2 terabytes for $100 per year. And then here is Microsoft's OneDrive service, which launched in 2007 as Windows Live folders to begin with. And then it is 5 gigs free with sign up. And then it is 100 gigs for $2 per month. And then 1 terabyte included with the Office 365 subscription for $70 per year. And then 6 terabytes included with Office 365 home subscription for $100 per year, which is only allowing up to 6 users. And then we have Apple's iCloud, which launched in 2011. It is 5 gigabytes for free, and then it's 50 gigabytes for 99 cents per month, 200 gigabytes for $3 per month, and then 2 terabytes for $10 per month. And then this slide right over here is for comparison of features, which is a website that you can see the pros and cons of each of these online storage accounts. So then I'll exit out of here and show you what that looks like. And this is the website that I was just talking about. And then as you can see, if you scroll down, you can kind of see the name and then what storage stuff it offers, the pricing, and for what space it actually offers for. So then it also has a website link too on the side. So then there's some other stuff like sync.com, which allows to sync your folder, file link sharing, folder sharing, and versioning, which is pretty much, it's like a per dot basis where it'll tell you, it's like 4 kind of dots, and then it'll give you pretty much a kind of checklist, see what it actually has. So you can kind of see everything where it is. So if I go to view all providers, it opens up the list here. So there's sync.com, pCloud, iDrive, OneDrive like I've talked about, Google Drive, Mega like I mentioned, that was another big one that I use personally that wasn't included into the slides over here. And then there's Dropbox, Amazon Drive, OpenDrive, iCloud, and some other ones, like even MediaFire is another one that I've used before. It's pretty useful. And then you can see if you scroll down here, you gotta get a YouTube recommendation here. And then it'll talk about how to make your own choices. And then it'll tell you the comparison between cloud storage and online backup. Which basically the only difference between cloud storage and online backup and online storage is very, very minimal. The only difference really is that you can backdate from your device to the cloud from specific devices and stuff like that. And then file sync and share, benefits from using cloud. You have to worry about having attachments through your, say if you're trying to send an email, and then, you know, we usually have those emails when you try to send a big file, like a video or a photo that's bigger than a specific size, and then it kind of shoots back an error saying the file's too big. This way, with a lot of those services, you can actually grab it and say, oh, you're making a Gmail email. And then you can use OneDrive to pass along the file through it instead of having to have that file restriction. And then you have syncing, which that's also very useful for the cloud service. So then syncing would be like with accounts, like for Apple, for instance, for iCloud. You can back up your apps, your account information and stuff like that. So then you don't have to worry about that stuff being lost as well, along with photos and videos and whatnot. And then cloud storage advantages and disadvantages. And it'll give you kind of like a comparison. You can look that up on your own, but this is basically very helpful. And then it also gives you a section for budget options, cheaper free cloud storage. There are options out there that will allow you to do that kind of stuff. Or like I said before on the slides, that you can actually, with a lot of those bigger services, have a small amount to keep for free, and then you just pay the extra amount if you need it. But usually, for the most part, I don't usually see people have bigger files. I would say even over 5 to 10 gigs that often, but then that offer's there just for safekeeping there. And then there is cloud storage services like enterprise, business, or personal use, because sometimes with cloud storage, they'll kind of ask you what kind of storage you're trying to use, whether it be a business account, personal account, so then they can kind of give you a deal or an option to what best fits your needs as far as what's the best place to save and how to save it for the pricing too. And then this goes over how safe is cloud storage, which cloud storage is fairly safe. Usually with bigger companies like Microsoft, Apple, Google, and stuff like that, they have very good encryption, like this talks about right here, about AES 256 gigabit. And then it's very, very secure. There's been cases out there that have said that people have been grabbed from iCloud and stuff like that, but that so fairly happens less that it doesn't really affect that much. And then as it sees right here, it talks about specific stuff in depth too with services. So, and then there's like a commutative kind of list at the bottom. So here's the final thoughts. So there's that. And then let me see here. Let me go back to this right here. So then that's basically what this website pretty much does for that. And then there's also while working from home, you can use Office 365 and G Suite, which is basically the online versions of a lot of the apps that you would normally use, like with Office 365 having Outlook first and foremost, and then has Word, PowerPoint, OneNote, stuff like that online, which has a subscription of its own if you don't want to have it locally on your computer, if you don't have enough space allocated to those kind of programs. And then G Suite is basically the Google suite of stuff, whether it be Gmail, OneDrive, G Drive, and stuff like that, where it's Google's side of apps, as long as, like how Microsoft has Office 365 for Microsoft's own apps, like I listed. And then both platforms offer similar features like email, file storage, collaboration and communication tools, word processing, spreadsheets, presentation tools like Google Docs, Sheets, and stuff like that. So you'll be able to talk, all you do with that kind of stuff, if it's not for personal use, you can talk to your administrator about what plan you're in and what the corresponding features are for that service. So yeah, this is fairly straightforward stuff. I mean, the presentation was a bit short because realistically, cloud storage sounds extensive, but it's fairly much a basic thing that doesn't really need a lot of explaining, but it's fairly easy. I mean, it's not anything too extensive that needs a long presentation for, so. I know that was kind of quick, but I think a lot more time needs to be allocated to questions and answers. So let me just let the chat open kind of for these kind of questions, because then this way, if people have anything question-wise to ask about these kind of services, it'd be much easier to explain specific steps if something is needed. So basically with cloud storage, it's basically, like I said before, to kind of sum things up, it's just a online variant of your computer's local hard drive. Instead of having, say, for instance, if your computer crashes or something goes wrong, you have kind of an extra backup for it. So then you have to worry about things missing or deleted or just lost, period. So cloud storage is very, very helpful for that. So let's see here. Let me think of something else. Okay, we have a question right here. How does one save document to iCloud? Is it automatic, or do you have to give a certain command? Usually with iCloud, with iOS or Mac OS, whether it be for desktop or phone, it's usually set to automatic by default. So usually when you go into the settings I'm using iOS as an example for your phone, that you don't really go into settings and you would go into your account at the top of the settings app itself. And then this way you can see what it's set to. So when you go into, let me give you a visual representation of what that looks like, so it'll be easier to explain visually. So iCloud backup. Let's see. So here it is. Here's kind of like a bigger representation of what that would kind of look like. So sometimes it'll pop up in your account settings, and sometimes it'll be lower down the list in your settings app for it. But by default, it's usually, you get, like you can see right here, it's set for on. By default, iOS is set to back up automatically, or you can turn it off and then set up manual backups. So instead of, per se, you want like a message backed up or something specifically, you can actually go in here, like you can see right here, and you can turn off mail, you can turn off contacts, turn it on. So you can actually choose what you want to back up specifically, instead of saying, oh, well, I just want to back up an email that was sent by a family member or a client. So then this way you can actually just turn specific options off and then save it that way. So then if you're using Microsoft Word and you create a Word document, how do you save it to your iCloud on your iMac desktop computer? You can actually, let me see if I can pull up a picture of that really quickly so then everybody can see a visual representation of that. Let's see, back up, Mac OS. Here's kind of a thing. So right here, if you can see here, when you go to your system preferences in your settings, you can go to iCloud, and then you'll have a couple options down below underneath your account information right here. And then this way you can actually, like iOS, you can choose what specifically you can save. So then what you do is you would save the Word document to your computer, and then you'd go into usually, like I'll show you right now, if you go into Word, so I'm using Windows, it can kind of give you a nice visual representation of what it would kind of look like. So let's say if I make a blank document and I start typing in like test Word document. So then if you want to save, you can actually, if you go to a save as, like for here, it gives you the option for OneDrive. If you're using Mac OS, it should by default be underneath this list of save as options. So that if I go to save OneDrive, and then it gives me the option to sign in. So then if I go to learn more, let me give this a couple seconds to load up. Okay, let me fix that. Share. Oh, here's the word. I know. My apologies, I messed up. So then I'll share this. Okay. You should be able to see this right now. So now I'm sharing what the Word document says. So I shared that. So if I went back to, like I said before, okay, that's good. So now, like I said right here for the test Word document, you go right here to File, and you go to Save As. Like you can see right here where it says OneDrive, sites, and stuff like that. If you're on Mac OS, it should give you an option for iCloud. And then you'd go right here, like for instance for this. And if you have an account already, it should give you the option to pick a specific folder or location for where to save it at. So then if I go right here, let me show the option right here. It would kind of give you something like this. So then if you go to like iCloud, you can actually choose where it's located, and you can show what the folders are and what the file names are. So then you can kind of mess around with it. So if I go to, let me see if I can find an image for you for what Mac OS looks like for saving that kind of stuff. Mac OS. See here. Like in your file explorer for Mac OS, it'll kind of look like this. This loads up. Yeah, it'll look like this. So if you already have an iCloud set up for it, you'll see the Word document saved in here. You can also move it to that location by default. It's kind of like Windows, where you can either save it locally in our desktop, or you go into the iCloud drive and you can just drag it from your hard drive to the iCloud drive itself. And then it says, then when the Word document is saved as iCloud, can I access it from another computer? You can, as long as you have an iCloud drive set up for that computer or phone or anything like that. You should be able to access it. Let me see if I can get a visual representation of that for you. Let's see. Yeah, like right here on Apple's official website, you can actually download a Windows app even for this. Even if I don't have a Mac on me, I can actually download iCloud from the Microsoft Store, or I can download a portable file for it, and you can actually just sign into your account, and then you'll get a pop of stuff that you'll see right over. It'll kind of look like this, but then like if you see right here, let me open up File Explorer really quick. Like right here, if you see File Explorer, like how OneDrive's right here on the left pane, you'll see iCloud Drive. And then when you go in here, you'll see your folder. So then I can say right now, since I have OneDrive on this computer, I can say create a folder, and I can be like Word documents. So then now if I go into Word, and then I can say, if I want to save this, like this is saved right here, and then I can browse from the app too, and then I can go into the Word documents folder, and then I can save it. So then now, right here, wouldn't you normally be able to see, if I show you this really quickly, like right here, this kind of thing pops up because I don't have an account signed in. But then normally, if I show this right here, it would normally be saved like it is right here. And then as long as you sign in to your iCloud account from any device, you will be able to access that file or photo or video from any kind of device as long as you have iCloud access. Just let me know if that answers your question. Okay, cool. So then, like, I'll jump right over into back over here. So then I can see, let me see. Okay. Anybody's free to ask any questions if they need any more clarification. I know I went through the slide kind of quickly, but there wasn't much to the PowerPoint that can't really be explained through pictures and kind of words, more of like word of mouth and kind of examples. So if anybody needs something specifically answered, I'll perfectly capable of answering any kind of question. Okay, and there's a question about, in my opinion, what storage is best, iCloud, Google Drive, 365. Personally, I've used both. I've used all three of them in varying forms, whether it be for school, work, or personal use. But as far as my own opinion, I would say the best so far would be either 365, because you'll get it along with your subscription with a OneDrive kind of folder, or you can also get it with Office as well. You'll get you get OneDrive with your Office subscription or download. So I would say overall, I think Office 365 is probably the most capable. iCloud's good. I don't personally own an iMac, but I use an iPhone. And with that, I use iCloud fairly often. I only back up usually sometimes my photos and sometimes my contact information, but I don't save a lot because I don't save a lot personally. So I don't think there's any wrong answer to what you can and can't use as far as any kind of cloud storage service. But I know in the past I've used, let me see. Okay, just making sure that I was sharing that. Myself over here. So then if I'll show you one of the ones that wasn't shown off, which is Mega. This is the one I personally use the most, which I find very helpful. That normally I download large files, and sometimes when you're in an internet browser, if you try to download something big, it tends to be kind of slow on some parts. So that's why they have their own MegaSync app. I'm going to show you guys that really quickly. They do have like a MegaSync option right over here. I'll just use like a quick WikiHow kind of visual representation. So like if you go right here, you can actually have an app saved on your computer. And then this allows you to, instead of download through your browser, you can download through a separate app that would be on your task tray or taskbar tray on any computer you usually have. And then you can kind of monitor the speed and stuff like that. You can even, it pretty much works through a lot of the cloud-based options that are listed, like 365 and stuff like that. You could actually do, but that's kind of like another option for everyone if they ever wanted to use like another alternative beside that. And basically with Mega, for just a small, I think it's $5. And for $5 from Mega, you can actually create an account and you can store, I think, up to 500 gigabytes. So that's not bad. So a lot of cloud-based options are fairly cheap. And a lot of times, like I listed in the PowerPoint, have alternatives for free if you just, when you get a new computer or phone with that brand, they'll kind of sometimes offer you free options for it. So yeah, let me think. Something else I didn't touch base with. Let's see. So if a person, and then someone else asked, so if a person downloads a lot of photos to iCloud, does that free up a lot of memory on a phone? What it does is, with a lot of these cloud-based options, it's pretty much copying the file to that cloud space server, just in case if something is wrong within transmitting the data from your computer or phone to that server sitting out there somewhere. You can actually, it by default stays a copy of it on your local desktop as well as onto that cloud-based server, so that you don't have to worry about the file being deleted or lost or corrupt. So yeah, they do. It doesn't free up space on your phone or your laptop unless you manually delete it after you send it. But as far as it freeing up, it doesn't. It's basically keeping a copy of that file instead of it getting deleted or something becoming corrupt as you're transmitting the data to your cloud-based storage server. You are very welcome. And I'll leave the board for more questions if anybody has anything specifically that I didn't answer. Okay, let me think of something else I can touch base with. Let's see. Let me look. Okay. So then, like, right, let me clear all these tabs. So basically, what I'll do is with some extra time, if anybody has any questions, I can actually show off each of these as like a basis, and then you kind of visually see beside the visually seeing it on the PowerPoint, you can see it on the website. You can kind of I can show you the options itself. So let's see. First one was Dropbox. So let me go to the website. And like I stated in the PowerPoint, Dropbox is partnered with Microsoft, so it kind of gives you like another alternative if you have Windows, if you didn't want to use the other one. And then you can actually choose for Dropbox to be either billed monthly or billed yearly, like I talked about in the PowerPoint. So like over here for professional, standard, and advanced, you'll get 20, 15, 25. And then it'll give you the options like one user, how many users, how much storage space you can have, and what kind of features each package kind of offers. As you can see right here, you can kind of see the plan highlights. So that's Dropbox. And you can start a lot of times with these kind of services too, along with even those streaming services as well, that you kind of start a free trial. So then you can try something out to begin with, and then you don't have to worry about committing to it via entering your card information. You can just start a free trial, and then you can cancel it before you can get billed, just to get a kind of feel for it, per se. So then next would be Amazon Drive. And with Amazon Drive, you'd have to first have an Amazon account to start off with. There's also Amazon's photo storage, like I talked about in the PowerPoint, where you could see the 5 gigabytes of video storage. And then you can see kind of like a brief overview. Here's also video storage as well for Prime members. And what Prime members were basically Amazon Prime, where you pay for a subscription, you can get many other things, like you can see right up here. Let me move myself. like right here, try Prime. That to load up. And with Prime, you get like faster shipping options, streaming options like Amazon Prime Video, shopping, and stuff like that. So then you have that as a bonus, as well as having an online drive service, which is pretty useful as well. And then Google Drive, you can actually, majority of people use Google Drive too. And then with that option, you first have a Drive account, and then right here you can see you can store, share, and stuff like that to your Android device, iOS device, Mac, Windows, you name it. And then you can also get the added benefit too of having sheets, docs, spreadsheets, as well as Drive with your Google account sign up. And here's some kind of a comparison for Google as far as the average user base for their Drive service, along with Dropbox and OneDrive and whatnot. So then you can kind of have that. And then let me see here. Let's see. Let me see here. Give me a second. Okay. Next, we can move on to the next one, which is, hold on a second. And someone asked, isn't it true Google Drive, you can save a document to Google Docs, automatically save to Google Drive? Need to do any further command, is that correct? With Google Drive stuff, you can, it's kind of like how Word operates on desktop. Let me load up an account really quickly to kind of give you a visual representation instead of just kind of rambling. Just give me a second. Second, just give me sign my account so I can visually show this stuff off. Okay. Go into Google Docs really quickly. All right, so let me bounce back to this. As you can see right now, I'm in Google Docs. Let me move myself over here. Like for instance, if I save, well, let me go to a blank document and I type in something like, test document. So then as per your question, okay. So basically, with Google Drive, the way that migrates over with Microsoft Word. Yeah, with a lot of times with documents, especially with Google Drive, because I've had that exchange in the past where if someone's hosting a document or trying to save it, you have to have sometimes permissions from the sender to access the file. Sometimes it's kind of weird, but I've had too much experience, but I've had one time where someone shared a document and I needed permission from them if they were sharing it via an email or something to be accessed on their own Drive account sometimes. If it kind of answers your question. Let's see. So you use Canvas, and then most of the time using Google, I need permission to access it. Yeah. So sometimes I know, don't quote me on this 100%, that with saving with saving a file to Drive and you're posting a link or kind of like a shortcut to that, you need permission from them to access or see that file. So with that, I would say just have them save the file locally and then send it via or submit it via Canvas that way. Because like I said before, if they host the file and then they kind of throw a shortcut or a link to it, it's kind of hard to access it because like you said before, and it's very apparent the fact that you have to ask permission from the saver or the sender to see that file. So Drive's kind of weird about that kind of stuff sometimes. So they should save it and then send it. Yes, they should send it as an attachment because, like I said before, where if they host a file through Google Drive and they save it via Docs or Sheets or anything like that, you would need permission access to that file from that sender. So that's why with stuff like this, if you're trying to do something for school or anything like that, I would recommend just using just attachments. That's the easiest way. So you're very welcome. Hope that kind of answers your question. And then like I was going back to with here, if you want to save a file, you can make a copy. So then sometimes if you want to make a copy and you want to delete your current file with Google Drive with a Docs folder or something like that, saving it, you just change the name or something like that. And then you can save it to OneDrive or your local PC or anything. And then this way, you can also make a new folder while you're in there, saying like test folder. And then you can select where you want to save it, and then you can press OK. So then now, if you make a copy of it, you can save it. So then when you go to, say, Drive right now, just see this file. Try to find where that was. If I go back to the home page and I go to Drive, as you can see right here now, even though I didn't save it, it automatically does save your Word document, as well as you can also make a copy of it or save it. As you can see right here, the test file is right over here. So then that's fairly straightforward. And then going next to OneDrive, like I showed previously, let me share this screen again. Like I saved right here, where if you say, oh, well, I want to make a Word document. And then, like I said, from here, if you save a test, by default, it opens up whatever current account you're using or sites or OneDrive itself. So then, like I said, you have to make an account first, and then you can save to your OneDrive account. And all your files will kind of show up right onto the side over here. So then there's OneDrive. You're very welcome. And then, like for instance, if I want to, I'll show you guys quickly. If anybody has any more questions before I end the class, I can show off the Office 365 related things for anybody who's interested. Just give me a second to get that set up. Okay. Let me share this really quickly. And I should be finished. Because Google Suite, like I showed before, is pretty much this kind of portion that's right over here. Like you can see calendar, contacts, OneDrive, not OneDrive, Google Drive, Gmail, Maps, and etc. So that's pretty much like a hub for all kind of stuff. And there's also Google Classroom, Docs, Sheets, Slides, and stuff like that. So that's the entire Google Suite itself. And then as for 365, show this off right here. You can see right over here, you'll see OneDrive, Outlook, Word, Excel. So instead of local, you can get a subscription, but then you can also save locally a copy of Office. So then with 365, it's online, so you have to worry about it being saved to your computer in any way. So then everything will be saved to the OneDrive as part of the subscription. So then, as it's got all the essentials like Outlook, OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, SharePoint, Teams, Sway, Forms, and stuff like that. So that's basically, it's similar to the G Suite, which it's being like a hub for all of Microsoft's apps that you would normally use instead of having it locally on your desktop. So let me think. Yeah, I think that's basically it. So let me just X all of this out. All right. This was cloud storage for me, and thank you all for watching. If there's no other questions, if not, then we are all done for the day. I'll give the last 10 minutes for questions if anybody needs to ask anything. If not, then we will be done for the day. Okay, doesn't look like there's any other questions, so thank you very much for joining this class, and we are done. This is Joe from the Orland Park Public Library. Thank you for joining.